Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. You're watching 726 in Harrison, Arkansas. We would like to thank all the guests that have been on the show, that are here on the show. They haven't been here yet.
No, but we have our first guest sitting with us. It's Michelle Byler with Area Agency on Aging. Good to have you, Michelle.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And I understand you all are going to have a training session. Is that correct?
Yes, this is specifically for caregivers of people with Alzheimer's. It's called the Alzheimer's Journey, What You Need to Know and Hesitate to Ask. Okay. And it's being presented by Alzheimer's Arkansas Association. Priscilla Pittman out of Little Rock is going to be coming and doing the training for us. She's a wonderful speaker. I've heard her 2 or 3 times. She was the caregiver for her mother, and so she knows about Alzheimer's from that perspective as well as from the perspective of a professional.
It's not an easy task.
No, it isn't at all. And we've had Alzheimer's in our family. I know a lot of people have, and sometimes you're able to continue to care for that person the entire time at your home. Other times it gets to the point where you do have to put them in a long-term care placement.
Do you have any statistics for us as far as
there are some 5 million Americans who have Alzheimer's and over 100,000 in Arkansas. It's the most common of the dementia disorders. It's not the only one, but it is the most common, and so that's what most people hear about.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Go ahead. It's kind of a mysterious disease in 2 parts for me, because they don't know exactly what causes it. It could be genetic, it could be other things. But it takes its toll because it becomes so debilitating that they have to have care 24/7. Is that right?
Right. It's basically almost as if they're aging backwards.
Backwards, right.
In terms of their functioning, they get to the point where they may remember things from their childhood, but they don't remember what they had for breakfast that morning. And so it's basically the same thing as you wouldn't leave a 4 or 5-year-old child at home alone.
Right.
So you cannot leave a person with Alzheimer's who's at that stage at home alone. And then it eventually does progress to the point where they are, no longer able to feed themselves, no longer able to toilet themselves.
And you're talking about the progression. It's different in different people, isn't it? I mean, as far as how quickly you can progress and go.
Right. For some people, they may have the symptoms for over 10 years. In the first 3 or 4 years, it may just be memory loss, basically, and then it starts to get to where there are safety issues.
Right.
You get to where you're concerned that they may go wander out on the street and not know where they are, not know where their home is, and then you really have to have constant care for them.
Now, are these some of the issues that's going to be talked about during the caregiver training?
Yes, we're going to talk about Alzheimer's disease and overview,
Okay.
communication, managing daily challenges. That's a big one, because they'll get to that point where they continuously ask you the same thing over and over, which causes the caregiver to become angry, or sometimes they'll ask for someone who is no longer with them, and you don't just tell them, oh, they died 5 years ago, because that's going to cause the person to grieve that person's death all over again.
Wow.
You really have to think about how you communicate with them. And then also nutrition, exercise, Alzheimer's disease and related dementias, caring for the caregiver. Too often, caregivers don't take care of themselves anymore. And I know in our own family, my husband's grandmother had Alzheimer's. Her husband was her caregiver. He ended up having cancer, didn't know it until it was too late, and he ended up passing away a year before she did.
Wow.
And then Alzheimer's disease, a journey, the end and the beginning.
Oh, it
So
sounds like very informative.
Right, it's going to cover a host of topics.
Now, what kind of caregivers are you looking for, or are they trying to look for you? Is this something that they want to be passionate about? Are they seeking out a new career, or?
This is both for family caregivers and for professional caregivers.
Okay.
And professional caregivers can receive 6 CEUs for a cost of $30, which is really cheap for getting CEUs. We certainly encourage family caregivers especially
And
to
for
come
people
to
that
this
don't know what a
training.
CEU is?
Continuing education unit, nurses, social workers, different professionals like that.
And these are
need
these are
those.
things that have to be done every year to keep their licenses and that kind of thing.
Right, and this is a good opportunity for them to get those units, but also to get a lot of education and training that they need if they work with people with Alzheimer's.
Could this also be geared for people that aren't necessarily in that right now, being a caregiver, but, foresee that that's going to be affecting them at some point?
Yes, I've
Okay.
had some people contact me who have family members that are just in the very early stages or
Right.
they think that they might have Alzheimer's. And I definitely encourage them to come to this because it will give them a good overview to know what
Obviously,
to
signs and
expect.
symptoms and what to expect. As
Right.
well. Okay. When is it?
It's Friday, April the 1st at First Presbyterian Church from 9 until about 3:30. And people who are interested in coming need to call me at 743-1623.
Okay.
Is there any registration involved in that, or is there limited amount of space, or how's that work?
We can have about 100 people, but
Okay.
we want to know who's coming so that we make sure that we have enough materials and food.
Exactly.
So it'd be nice to RSVP at least.
Right.
Tell people you're coming by. Okay.
Right. We hope to not have to turn anybody away since we're having it over there. That's why they so graciously offered us to be able to use their fellowship hall. That's where the Night of Lights to Remember was held back in the fall. And this workshop is actually being provided for by the funds that were raised during a Night of Lights to Remember.
Okay.
So it's good for people to know where that money is going, that it's going to train
Right.
caregivers.
Right. Well, I encourage you to, if you're in the situation, if you're a caregiver, or if you think that that's in your future, then call and make a reservation, because it is something that's hard. And you need to be aware of what you are up against, I guess, and
Right.
what to expect, and also for information as far as Alzheimer in general is concerned. So, okay.
Thanks, Michelle.
Wonderful.
Thanks
Thank
for coming
you.
by.
April 1st,
All right.
Friday.
Yes.
Again, the hours?
9 a.m. until about 3:30.
Okay, at First Presbyterian Church on Arbor Drive.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're
All right.
welcome. Thank you.
And up next is Jane and Dave Baker, right?
That's
They're
right.
With the 15th annual Eureka Springs
He's
Spring
clapping over there
Antique
already.
Trail Show. They're ready to go, and we'll be right back.